Okay, the next step. Well, first of all, you need to figure out what's the best location for setting up your bricks and mortar company. And of course, the venture capitalist and other folks can give you lots of advice about where's the best place to set up your company. If your company is one that, if your product is one that is founded on significant technology like software, electronics, pharmaceuticals, you probably want to be located in a major industrial area, a major university area, where these kinds of developments are routinely made. The reason is because then you have a ready source of employees. So you probably don't want to be in Podunk, USA, that's 200 miles or 500 miles from the nearest metropolitan area. You probably don't want to be in that area. On the other hand, if your product is, let's say it's a new way to convert switchgrass or convert cellulose, say chopped up trees, into ethanol, maybe you do want to be located in Podunk, USA, because you need to be close to your source of material, your raw source of materials. So all these considerations have to be made, okay? And this is the time to make them. You don't want to set your company up in Podunk, USA when, oh my goodness, I need brilliant scientists from Harvard University, and in order to get them to come out here to Podunk, USA, that's 500 miles from any major industrial center or major metropolitan center, I'm going to have a lot of difficulty doing that. On the other hand, if it's a new way to make ethanol out of chopped up trees, then and you've located it in downtown Boston, that's maybe not a smart idea. So you need to consider these things. Now, there are all kinds of business advisors who will give you business advice for a price. For a price. Nobody does anything for free, and for a price. So they may do it for a piece of the action, they may charge you for it. The venture capitalist that has invested in your company will help you figure that out. But you also need to understand these aspects of where to set up this company. Okay, so that's the first thing, setting up the physical plan. Okay, so now you've decided I'm going to set up my physical plant. I'm going to set up my company in a metropolitan area that has a number of resources. It has a ready availability to banks, ready availability to legal advice, ready availability to brains, in other words, universities and other companies that have engineers and scientists and researchers, and I can hire from those places. It's a sophisticated area. That's why I've decided to set up my physical plant. So the next thing is, who do you need to hire? Okay, you're not going to be able to do anything as a solo entrepreneur. You need to consider, do you really have the business acumen in order to make this company work? My experience has been that most often that's how companies fail. They don't fail because the product is bad. They fail because the entrepreneur has decided, hey, I'm the best guy to run the business. And what the entrepreneur does is he runs the business into the ground. Here's why. Entrepreneurs are unique people. They have 1,000,000 ideas a second, or maybe 100 ideas a second. The problem is that the entrepreneurs tend to flit from one idea to the other, and they don't focus on a single product. They don't say, like the venture capitalist would want them to say, I've identified product C as the best example of the product in my technology, and that's the one we're going to go forward with. We are not going to do research and development on anything else until we get this product to market. That's a very difficult decision for an entrepreneur to make. Somebody who has a lot of experience in business and is able to make those kinds of decisions is the kind of person you need as your business person, as your business manager, as the manager of the company. Now's the time to find somebody like that. Right now, not later, but right now. Now, as an entrepreneur, you may say, yes, I can do all this. I have experience that way. And if so, that's great. But my experience has been the ideas guy is usually not a business guy. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is, now you've got your business manager, you've got your president of the corporation, you're going to be the CEO, or you're going to be chairman of the board, but you've got your business guy, you've got your president who's going to run the business. Okay, you and the president, then you need to decide, okay, I'm not going to be able to make this product. I'm not going to be able to research this product myself. I need to hire some researchers. So you and or the business guy, or maybe the business person himself or herself, needs to go out and hire a few employees. What kind of employees? Well, hopefully the business person that you've hired also is experienced in human resources. You don't need to hire a separate human resources person at this time, because your business person probably has experience that way and can figure out who's a good employee to have and who's not such a good employee to have, and can do the initial hiring. So you need to hire somebody who's highly technically qualified in your area to help you refine your product and bring it to excellent proof of concept, or bring it to market. Now, you may think that you have developed a fine product, but the chances are your product is bulky, it's large, it can be miniaturized, if it's a circuit, it can be refined. You need to make the economic considerations about the circuit development. Maybe there are alternative ways that the circuit could be, or that the process could be practiced with some circuit that is not as expensive. Same thing for chemicals, same thing for pharmaceuticals. And who would know about these things? Well, maybe you know about them to some degree, but maybe there's another scientist, engineer, who has quite a bit of experience in the area and is able to do the product development. So that's the next person you need to hire, is the product developer. Very important to have on the staff, because that's going to make the difference between profitability and bankruptcy, is how economical can you make your product. Now, the other aspect that you need to consider about the product is the cosmetic aspect. Most entrepreneurs don't get it. Okay, another aspect about your product is the cosmetic aspect. Most entrepreneurs focus on the technical qualifications of the product. They don't focus on how pretty it is. They can make it work, they can make it small, but they don't focus on how pretty it is. But you have to understand the consumer is looking at the outside of the product. Even with pharmaceuticals, this is important. But let's take televisions, or let's take where's my cell phone? The cell phones. You know, back in the old days, cell phones were these great big bulky things. You put them up to your ear and you put aluminum foil around the antenna because you didn't want to fry your brain, all that sort of thing. These days, the cell phones are very handy and they do all kinds of wonderful things. Those old bulky cell phones, they were obtrusive. They were awful looking, okay? Why? What's one reason why, in addition to the expense, why most people have smartphones these days? Because they're easy to handle. They're cosmetically pleasing. Same thing for pharmaceuticals. You've got a great big pill like this that has the drug in it, and you expect somebody to swallow that great big pill? No way, it's a horse pill. I'm not going to take that thing. You need to make it cosmetically pleasing. You need to make it attractive to the consumer. For pharmaceuticals, that's how does it feel when it swallows? Is it bitter? Does it taste bad when you swallow it? Do I have to stick it up my nose? That's not so. Or even, do I have to put it in my eye? That's not a very good thing. That's not very cosmetically attractive. And so all these considerations have to go into the next phase of your product, and your engineer or your product developer knows about these things. So that's the next person that you need to consider hiring.